update. I didn't want to show you the same thing again, so basically I've done all my cornicing, my skirting, I've put my door on, and I've put this, the cornicing here is, I've just done like a, just in the same colour, just a very simple, because on this one I wanted to use these rub-ons, which are from Anna Griffin, her baby boy collection. Again, I'm not sure of the exact name, but she only has one baby. On the rub-ons, there is these lovely little trains, so I thought they would look fab, and exactly the kind of thing you would put on a nursery around the wall. So I thought that looked really cool. So that's really all I've done. Well, all, I mean, it's taken quite a while to do, but that's all that's been done. I think the next job will be on the Gypsy and the Cricut. See, here's one of the pages that I designed for this card on my Gypsy. If I show you the top, I've got a few. I've got the door, which we've already seen. Then there's my template, so that's my card template, just to give me an idea of sizing. Then I've got the border that I used on the front. Then I've got a section which I label up so I remember what I want to do. So this is my Hunky Dory blue card, and then I've got Coordinations blue card for that page. I'm not showing you the actual page. And then I've got Mirror card and also my Velvet card. So the one that we're going to do right now is the white card, and I'm using the American Crafts white card because I find that cuts really, really nicely. So what I'm going to be doing is cutting out all these elements, and you can see there's lots and lots of little bits and pieces on there which are a little bit more hard to identify. Let me see if I zoom in a little, so you can see like there's a little truck, a rattle, a train, little bottles, a baby feed bottle. That's going to be a pile of nappies. That's just some shapes that I welded together. Little nappy pins, little rabbits, etc. So all sorts of bits which I may or may not use all of them. And I'm cutting them out in white. I've done this before. I do this quite a lot. I find it's really therapeutic, and you get some really, really nice looks as well. Is you cut it out on this beautiful white cardstock, and then you colour it in using your Pro marker. Okay, so this is what we're cutting out now. So let's plug our Gypsy in and get cutting. Okay, so this is just preparing to cut, because there's quite a lot of images there to do. Okay, so off it goes. Okay, so cutting's complete, so let's unload our mat. And let's see if you can just catch a little glimpse. I'm not sure if you will. Oh, just a little bit there, so you can see the pieces are cut. So now I'm going to leave them on this mat. You can see the little plane there. I'm going to leave them on this mat, and I'm going to colour them in. And I'm going to get another mat, and I'm going to cut the other pages out that I need to do, that don't need to stay on the mat while I colour it in. Okay, so let's get those ones loaded up and cut them out. Okay, so we're now cutting the page that's got the crib and I can't remember the drawers, I think, for the chest of drawers, well, the cupboard, and some other bits and pieces. I can't quite remember. So I'm going to leave this cutting, and then I'm going to cut out my other two pages. I think it's another two, and then I'll come back to you with all the elements, and we'll start to do the colouring in on the white card, and then start putting all this together. So I've cut out all my bits and pieces, and they're over to the side here, so I'll show you those later, but I've just popped those out the way for the minute, because what I need to do now is just colour this in. So as I said to you before, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to colour it while it's on here. I find that a lot easier. It will mark your mat if you use Pro markers. Got a huge selection of Pro markers. I love my Pro markers, and I've got a big selection. And then on top of that, I've also got the Flex markers as well. So I shall be using those. I think that they give a really nice effect. Okay, so we're going to do these parcels here. Now hopefully my fingers aren't going to get in the way too much, because the camera's kind of at that side. Unfortunately I haven't got room the other side. So now it's for a boy, so we're going to use some blues, I think. So the parcels are going to be in various shades of blue. So let's start off first of all with one of our flex markers. Now the thing I always do as well is I like to test my colours on my piece of paper. Now if I just lift it here, what I'll do is I'll test it just down here below where my actual cuts are, which I know wastes a little bit of the paper, but I'll use some of the gaps that I've got rather than, you know, the whole of the page. But you do need to test the colours. So that's a really pretty colour, I like that. But does it go with my little boy's room that I'm doing? So let's have a look. I think that looks very nice with it. So let's start colouring in. Now because there's already kind of lines on here with the where the cut is, you don't have to worry about going over the edges of the actual cut for the outside edges. Obviously the inside edges I need to worry about. Now I am going to just use this paler flex marker, and sorry, I ought to give you the name. This one's Glacier Blue and the other one was Celestial Blue. So let's just paler side over here and on the top, and then this kind of starts to blend in that bottom bit, so now swap over to here. I'm just hoping you can see alright because of my hand. I'm worrying about the lines there, wasn't I? Don't need to do that. So that's my first kind of coat here. Now I want to just put some shadow on here a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to take my paler one again and then just blend that in so that it doesn't look like a really harsh line. I'm not going to do any more on the top, and I'm going to take my actual Pro marker now, just see which end I need. Oh no, that's a bit too dark. Let's try this one. No, let's stick with our flex marker. They're not quite the right shade, so okay, let's now just start to darken this up a little bit on this side. Another flex marker here, which is very slightly darker, and this is called Cadet Blue. So let's use that to just darken some of this one up now, because we want to shade on our darker side as well. And as you can see, by going off the image page like we are, you're really able to get some great shading. Let's do a little bit more here just to blend that even more. Don't forget you can pull up the colour from, while it's still damp, you can still pull it up from the previous bit. Again, I'm just going to I'm using my paler one now just to help blend this in as well. There we go. Okay, now I really want something nice and strong on the ribbon. So what should we go for? Something really dark, maybe like this. That would be nice, wouldn't it? So let's, now this one we need to keep quite precise, and we're going to darken this up even more in a minute. You don't need to worry about this top part because we know that that's all coming off anyway around these edges. There we go. So this one we don't want to blend. And then on the top of the box where you can now see where the gap is, I'm going to take my pale flexi marker and I'm just going to fill in that gap to make sure that that's all nicely coloured in. Okay, now I'm going to take, I've got a pro marker here, which is a grey. I'm just making sure it's a nice dark grey, that's not dark enough. There we go. This is cool grey, and then I'm going to just go on the edge of my ribbon here where it would be darker, just to give it some shading. Okay, so we just give that a second. And again, don't forget you can kind of go off the cut here because you're not needing, as long as you don't go on the bit that you're already, you know, where you are needing it to be. And then we're going to go back to my dark blue, which was French Navy, by the way. I love that French Navy. And I'm using the thinner end, and this is a normal pro marker, this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this one with you guys, and then I'm going to do the rest off camera, but I just thought I'd show you one so you kind of got the idea of what I was doing. And we'll actually pull this one out so you can see. And I think I would like to try and make that a bit bluer, so we'll just give that a second. So we're just going over it with my blue flexi marker, and what that's doing is it's just laying down a coat of this blue, which it's just because where I put the grey on, it's shaded, but it just took some of the blue away because the French Navy is so dark. So I'm just laying that on top to really give it a little bit more of a blue look. Okay, so we need to give that a little bit of time to dry. What I'll do is I'll carry on with the others. I was going to take this off, but I think if I do that now, it will get spoiled because it's not dry. So I'll fill in the rest of them, and then I'll come back to you and I'll show you what I've done. Okay, so as you can see, I've taken everything off the mat, and as you can also see, that's all the marks that have been left behind on the mat. I've done this before, and the last time I did this, I did it for a Halloween card, not this Halloween, last Halloween, and I'm still using that mat. It really doesn't affect it. It just doesn't look very pretty, but it doesn't make any difference to how you can use it. You can re-stick it. Because they're alcohol inks, I haven't been able to get it off, but just personally, you saw how when I was colouring, I just find it easier to do it like that. If you remove it off the mat and then try to colour it with such small pieces, it really just doesn't work. You start just destroy the pieces because they've got nothing holding them in place, whereas if you leave them on the mat, and making sure you leave the whole piece of paper on, you don't even take the excess paper off, then you have that support and you find that it just doesn't disappear. And where the paper gets wet, because obviously the alcohol ink sinks in, it can dry off, it's kept in position, it doesn't change shape or anything. So I just personally found that this has worked so much. What I've got now is I've laid everything out on a piece of white card, all of the pieces we've got here that we've coloured, all of the other pieces that I cut out earlier, and I've laid them all out on this card here so you can see all the elements that we've now prepared. Now I'm hoping that we'll use most of them, but who knows. And there's still a few little bits and pieces. Obviously you need to stick bits together, but there's some other little things that need doing as well. I need to emboss my piece here, which is the backing, sort of like the back of my cupboard or armoire or whatever you want to call it. I've got my drawers to sort out as well and emboss here, and I want to put like a handle on those. This chandelier is actually one from the pop-up cards, so it's got a pop-up piece. So my intention, if possible, is to push it in here so that when it closes, it's closing like that, and then it's going to pop up. So that's my plan, but whether it'll work or not, I don't know, but we will see. Then I've got my crib here, or cot, and I've got the two pieces here, the back and the front, which are going to be making it kind of 3D look. But obviously then I need to make use of these pieces here and just chop this up for my two kind of endy bits there. And I've got, this is going to be like my mattress in my crib, so that's to go in there. So I need to sort that all out. I've got to put my chair together. I need to chop the legs off my cupboard here. I've got my shelves to put in the cupboard, so that then I can start putting the things on the shelf. I've coloured, as you saw, I'd coloured in the bunting, so once that's up and actually on the card, I will work out exactly what wording I want to put and how to space it out, but I can't do that until that's up. And then obviously, as well as all of these bits for the shelving, I've got the stickers that I showed you before of all the little bears and bits and pieces, so we'll kind of intersperse that. Hopefully that will look good, but if it doesn't, we'll leave those out, but I think it will kind of give it some dimension. So I'm going to leave this now for absolutely drying purposes, because it's fairly dry but it's not 100%, so I'm going to leave that, and then I'm going to carry on now tomorrow morning.